"What do you mean?" said Frodo. "Surely the ring was his precious, and the only thing he cared for. But if he hated it, why didn't he just get rid of it, or go away and leave it?" "You ought to begin to understand, Frodo, after all you have heard," said Gandalf. "He hated it and loved it, as he hated and loved himself. He could not get rid of it. He had no will left in the matter." J.R.R. Tolkien, The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm not going to bother struggling any more. My wrists are aching, burning, and rubbing raw by the rope that ties me to the leg of an armchair. It's the chair Mr. Weasley used to sit in during the summer evenings as he listened to the Wizard's radio. It's too heavy a chair to lift, so I've got no option but to stay sitting on the floor, waiting along with all the other Death Eaters here, with me for Harry to arrive. I think we're here early, before whatever arranged time they gave to him. They don't seem to think he'll be here so very soon. The atmosphere is almost relaxed. They're just standing around, talking to each other quietly, even laughing occasionally. Laughing. I can't stand them being here. The burrow, this happy home that should be full of laughs and Weasleys, Laughing Weasleys is now full of Death Eaters, all waiting for Harry to turn up so they can finally win the war. To think that things have come to this. I don't think the Weasleys are here. I haven't seen them. My guess is that they've only given their house up for the night, and they don't actually have to stay here to see what's going to happen. God knows, if I were given the choice, then I wouldn't want to see what might happen. I'm almost glad that none of the Weasleys are here. I don't know whether I could handle seeing them. Just be a reminder of everything I've lost. It's night time, and so the only light in the room comes from the Death Eaters' illuminating wands. Perhaps it's just the darkness that makes the place look so miserable, so utterly different from how it was when I last saw it. I look across the room, the dining room of the house I spent so many summers in, though I don't have time for memories now. I look at Lucius as he holds a murmured conversation with some Death Eaters I don't recognize. None of them have put their masks on yet. Not that I recognize any one of them anyways. Only Lucius and Bellatrix, who seem to be ignoring each other. And Draco's here, of course. He keeps on smirking at me. He's just itching to come over and gloat. I know that. But he's managed to restrain himself so far. I don't care anyways. He can do what he likes. After everything that's happened to me, I don't give a damn about Draco Malfoy anymore. My eyes are stuck on Lucius. I watch the bastard smile. I watch him laugh quietly over something another Death Eater says. I watch him as he flicks his eyes over to me. How can he carry on with his life as if nothing has happened? How can he sit there and laugh after what he's done? I'm never going to laugh again. How can life go on? How can anyone laugh or smile or just carry on as if nothing has changed? My parents are gone. They'll never come back. How can anyone else's life go on as normal? I'm being irrational, I know. I know that the pain will lessen in the end. That's what everyone says whenever someone's lost someone they love. It'll get easier with time. I don't feel like it will, though. Gosh, that was hard to find. Sorry. I don't feel like it ever will, though. I feel like I'm surely going to die. This retching, churning pain I feel in my gut whenever I come close to thinking about it, which is pretty much all the time. It's like a whining cry pounding incessantly in my head. It hurts, hurts, hurts. And he just sits there. He sits and talks to his friends, and he doesn't care what he's done. He's taken everything. I hate him. I keep thinking about my mom and dad's last moments. I keep running over what might have happened in my mind. Did I know that I loved them? Did I tell them when I last saw them? Finally learn your place in the world, Granger. God knows it's taken you long enough. Draco's finally given in to temptation, then. I didn't even notice him coming over. I look up. He stands over me, smirking down at me with pure malice, because he knows that he's won now. All those years of beating him in class really don't matter anymore, do they? Not now. He crouches down next to me, keeping his voice low. My father told me you've been a delightful arrogant self during your captivity. I cannot speak for Draco. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I chance to look at his father, who watches us with a tiny frown on his face, just for a second before he turns back to the person he's talking to. I'll kill him one day. I will kill him. I look back at Draco. His pale face is contorted with pure, malicious joy. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to know. Don't want to put up with it after everything else. Go away, Draco, I whisper, looking away from him. I don't want to talk to you. I could feel the cold, sleek wood of his wand under my chin, and I slide my eyes back onto his face. He might not be his father, but he's still got a wand, and that amounts to power I could only dream of right now. But I want to talk to you, Granger, he hisses, and you have to do as I say now. As I say, he repeats, savoring the words. I don't bother to answer. I'm not afraid of him, not really. He might have a wand, but his threats just seem so meaningless, after everything else, after everything his father's done to me. I wanted to come and visit you ages ago, he drawls, letting his wand drop from my chin. I originally asked the Dark Lord if I could have charge over you. If I could look after you during your imprisonment. It wouldn't have been fun, wouldn't it, Mudblood? Just you and me, and a wand. And my wand, boink! I kid Draco Malfoy. He does not have the balls to rape Hermione Granger. Even if he wanted to. Just saying. Hold on. To answer a text message. Yay. My mind goes into overdrive for a moment, thinking about what it would have been like if I had been given over to his son rather than the father. Perhaps things would have been easier. Draco's skills at magic, manipulation, and cruelty aren't as advanced as his father's, I don't think. I could have finally put you in your place, Draco goes on. I could have got back at you for all those years you thought you were better than me in school. I snapped then, after my last nerve break, because he really does think that I care about how well I did in school after everything that's happened to me. Yes, I bet you stayed awake night after night fantasizing about that little scenario, haven't you? I whisper violently. Well, let me tell you, it hasn't been the stuff of fantasy, being stuck with your bloody father all the time. I feel the anger build up inside of me, the need to hurt. Do you know what your father has done to me, Draco? He swallows sharply, but he keeps that sneer somewhat shakily in place. It's as if he's afraid of what I might say. Too young, too naive to know what his father really gets up to in his spare time. Whatever he's done to you, I'm sure that's no less than what you deserve, he mutters. No less than I deserve? I ask incredulously. My eyes flicker over to Lucius, who's watching us, almost completely ignoring the person he's meant to be talking to. Draco's eyes follow mine. He imperied me into hacking my own leg open with a knife, I mutter. He crucioed me to the point that I vomit out in sheer agony. He broke my fingers and ground them under his boot when I wouldn't do as he said. I could tell you things about your precious father. And she pulls it all together. It's kind of fucked up. I mean, be real. Like, that's pretty gross. That's enough. That's enough. He grabs me by the scruff of the neck and holds his wand shakily to my throat. Draco, Lucius. His voice comes from the other side of the room, cold and emotionless. I shift my eyes over to see him watching us with a frown on his face, his wand loose in his hand by his side. "Remember what I told you?" "Yes, father," Draco says sullenly, withdrawing his wand from my throat and putting it back into his robes before letting go of me. Lucius locks his gaze into mine for a few seconds before he turns back to his conversation with his colleague. "He killed my parents, Draco," I say quietly, not looking away from Lucius. "Your father killed mine and my mother. Do you still wish that you would have been given charge of me? That duty would have fallen to you, if you had been. Will you fantasize about being the one to destroy my life? To take away the two people I loved most in the world?" I turn back to Draco, whose face has gone very white, but he still manages to keep the sneer in place. "Why should I care about that?" His voice shakes as he speaks. "They're only muggles." I actually choke in my own rage. I start to sputter with hatred. I knew he was an arrogant, spoiled, selfish little brat, but I never knew he was so cruel as to... "You!" I try to lunge at him, but I jolt as my ropes are stretched tight. I can't move for the weight of the chair. Draco laughs, standing up again and sneering down at me, just like his father does, and yet somehow so very unlike his father. "When you will ever learn, you stupid cow," he says. "You can't fight against me. You never could. Stupid Gryffindors think they can fight against anything just as long as they're brave enough. What use is your bravery now, Granger? What use is your bravery without a wand?" It's funny how you can grow up with someone and not notice them changing. I look at Draco now, and I see him properly for the first time in 6 years. He's not quite grown up yet, but he's nearly there. I can see both the sneering, playful bully he was, but I can also see what he'll become, his father. I can see his father in his sneer, the coldness, the eyes full of cruelty. "It's nearly midnight." Lucius's curt voice comes from the other side of the room, cutting off all of the muted chatter amongst the other Death Eaters. I watch him stride across the room to me and Draco. "He'll be here soon enough. Get in position." They all do as he says, arranging themselves around the room. Lucius comes over to me and Draco. He flicks his wand at the ropes tying me to the chair, and they dissolve into thin air. I barely have the chance to massage at my sore wrist before he grips me by the arm, wrenching me to my feet. "Shouldn't you keep her tied up?" Draco asks, looking at me almost apprehensively. "She might get away." "Oh, I don't think Miss Granger will be going anywhere." Lucius drawls horribly. "I think she knows what the consequences of her actions will be if she does make an ill-conceived escaped attempt. I have taught her all she ever needs to know about obedience during our time together."